back to the broadcast. Okay, it is the perfect time to overhaul your look. It's summer, right? But what if your wish list is bigger than your budget? That happens to me all the time. That is where fashion expert Liliana Vasquez and her new book come in. Welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you for having me. It's good to be home.
Yeah, you're a Texas girl.
I am a Texas girl, but I live on the East Coast. I live in Philly, and I work in New York. So I try to get home at least a couple times a year. But it's good to be home. Even
you
though
still have family here?
My entire family is here.
Oh,
Between
that's
here
nice.
and Austin. So yeah, my whole family's here. So it's nice to be home because I get to see everyone in like one little concentrated space.
One visit,
yes,
right.
It's great.
Okay, so tell us about your background. And did you start with a blog?
I did. Actually, I started my blog, officially kind of started in 08, but really started delving into it in like 07. And back then I felt like, people asked me, when I told them I had a blog, they go, well, what's a blog? Right?
Yeah.
And now it's like everybody, it's almost like having Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, the way you guys were talking about it. Everybody has a blog. So I started it because I wanted to have a really honest conversation about not just fashion, but about fashion and spending and saving. And I felt like every month I would get all these magazines that I'd flip through and lust after all these things, and I'd turn the page and I'd look at the price, and it was so depressing. I would see these amazing looks and these editorials, and the reality was I couldn't afford it. And the reality was that most of my friends at 26, 27 couldn't afford it either.
Right.
And so I will use the blog to have a conversation about things that look really beautiful and feel really nice, but are affordable and accessible. I think that's the most important thing about fashion.
People Magazine does this really well in their little style issue where they'll show like something, real expensive and then show like a less expensive version of it.
Yeah, the look for less. I mean, who doesn't want the look for less? And that's what I built the site off of. It's that mindset. It's like, hey, we all want to look good. We all want to be on trend, but we shouldn't be spending a fortune on it. And if you are going to spend a fortune on something, it should be all about value, and it should be cost per wear. I talk about CPW in my book. If you buy a $1,000 pair of shoes, I don't think that's extravagant if you're wearing them 100 times, right? Because you're bringing down that cost per wear versus buying a pair of really trendy shoes that cost you $100 that you wear twice.
Right. So those pieces that are going to last you
forever,
a lifetime.
and are really good quality. I mean, I think there's tons of investment pieces in my closet, like bags and jewelry and shoes. But for clothes, I'm all about fast fashion and trends.
Okay, so I love the idea of doing something less expensive. But let's talk about the word cheap, because you want people not to be afraid of that word anymore. And I have to tell you, like around here, Courtney, being our fashion guru, has like glues our mouth shut when we say the word cheap, because she's like, you really don't want to equate that word with something that you're wearing or with a look that you're trying to portray. So how do we take that word and make it mean a good thing?
Well, I have a whole chapter about it in the book. My mission with this book and with everything that I do is to give new meaning to the word cheap, because we look at it as one of those 4-letter words, right? Nobody wants to be cheap, but I don't.
Well, you think like it's just not good quality,
right? But that's the thing about cheap. Cheap means different things to different people. I have friends that think $1,000 is cheap. You know what I mean? I have friends that think $10 is cheap. It just depends on who you are, and it's all about the presentation. I always talk about the business model between Walmart and Target. You're still buying toilet paper, right? But you'd rather buy it at Target than you would at Walmart.
Well, and that's an interesting point that you bring up, and especially with clothing. I think Target's done a great job of carrying pieces that can give you that look, and their quality is I think better than someplace like Walmart or some of the other discount stores.
And sometimes it has to do with the packaging. You know what I mean? To me, I am the package. I am the cheap chica. I've owned that word. I let my cheap flag fly. And people look at me and they're like, "Oh, well, you look fantastic." I'm like, "Oh, well, this is a $20 shirt that I got at Marshall's, and I got these jeans for $9.99 at JCPenney." I think there's so much more value in that, and I think that's such a smarter way to live our lives. Like, I hate hearing stories about young women that go into debt because they needed a Chanel bag. You don't need a Chanel bag. You want a Chanel bag, right? You should be spending your money on smarter things. And I think that being really smart about your money and being really stylish are not mutually exclusive. And that's what the book does, I think, better than any other book that's out there now. It really has a conversation about shopping, which is really important to me and really important to a lot of women, styling, which I think is how you put it all together, but also saving. Women need to learn to be smart about money and save, and that's what I want to do with this book, is show women that all those things can happen at the same time, and you can look fantastic.
So quickly, Liliana, give us like your top 2 tips.
Top 2 tips. Never pay full price. never, never, never pay full price. I don't care if it just hit the internet that day or if you just walked into a store. Wait, I have relationships with every salesperson, whether it's at my TJ Maxx or whether it's at Neiman Marcus. And I say, hey, listen, I really want this item. I'm not paying full price for it. If you want to hold it for me, awesome. I'll give you the sale. Call me when it's a minimum of 20 to 25% off. And I pretty much get what I want.
And they'll do it.
Yeah, and they absolutely will, because they're in it for the money too, right? They work on commission.
That's a great tip to work with the salespeople and get to know them. Give me one more.
I would say that the hardest thing to do is walk into an off-price store and find something that you really want. So it's really important to be open-minded and have a lot of patience when you're shopping.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Don't go in and like with something on your mind and you'll get frustrated if you try to get something.
I saw Lisa wearing this really gorgeous orange dress.
Thank you, Karen Millen from the Galleria.
There you go. And I really want to find it for $50. Probably not going to happen. But if you're patient and you kind of look for something that's inspired by the dress, you're going to be way more successful. And I'm all about successful shopping trips.
All right, Liliana, I love those tips. When we come back, Liliana will be showing off some great looks that you can get yourself. Stick around for that. Do we have models for the fashion show?
Yes.